Welcome to the Answers Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello and welcome to the Answers Yes podcast. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate all of you and the consistency of watching our downloads just continue to increase. We've got over 65,000 subscribers on the show right now, and I just want to thank you very, very much for your attention, your comments, your great guest recommendations, and everything else. So today I've got Andrea MacKenzie on the line, and she is the founder of Lead with Harmony. Good morning or afternoon. How you doing?
It is morning where I am. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Jim. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're just coming into the afternoon hour here in Montana, blue skies. The summer's wrapping up, and I think I'm ready for fall.
Oh, I love fall. It's the best time of year. I'm sure it's amazing in Montana too.
Yeah, it's not too bad, and I like to brag a little bit, but the only reason why I do that is because I built a plan around my goals and values years ago. Well, it's been about 5 years now, and followed that passion and that vision and brought my business along and created the life that I wanted to live with my kids. And I always want to encourage people to do the same, to follow their yeses. And that's why I love having guests like you on the show, because you've got some yeses as well as you've got some great solutions once you've said yes and you have a business.
Yes. Lots of yeses.
Well, let's do this. How about you give us some background on your career and work history and how you got to where you're at today?
Sure. Well, I grew up in New England, so the fall is no stranger. I'm no stranger to the fall. Let's put it that way. It's the most beautiful, magical thing in New England. And growing up there, I was always into music, arts, all of that kind of stuff. So I said yes to coming out to LA when I was 17 years old to study music. And I was just following my heart, kind of like what you said. It's like I knew that's what I wanted to do. What was interesting about that, yes, was that I didn't know that I was going to study music. I just knew I just for some reason had a calling to come out this way. And within the first week of studying at USC, they invited me into the music school. So it was just an audition, and they were like, "Hey, you should be a music major." And I said, yes. So it was amazing. It was awesome to get to study jazz for 4 years. And what I learned about myself there was just the improvisation is my thing, winging it, kind of coming up with things on the fly. And I don't think a lot of people understand when you go to school for something like that, you're learning so much that is applicable to so many other things in business and life, that you are learning how to lead a band. You're learning how to work with other people. You're learning how to collaborate. You're learning how to listen for all the little cues and all these things, right? And so, but I came out of school with a music degree. And so that put me in a position of, well, you got a music degree. What kind of job are you going to get, right? How are you going to make money? Okay. So I went from lateral job to lateral job to lateral job. Now, I always knew I had an itch to be an entrepreneur at some point in my life. I didn't know what kind of business I wanted to be in. And so I just kind of was like, if I keep going down this path, I'm just going to keep getting passed over, because I wasn't seen for who I was, because my resume didn't say who I was. It just people go by, okay, what did you learn in school, or what have you done in the past? But I was like a sales manager by the time I was 25, and I was like, you know what? If I want to go anywhere, I got to go back to school. So so then I went and studied business at USC, went back for my MBA, and came out. And while I was in there, I mean, talk about saying yes. I was like, I'm going to meet every single person I can meet, every door I can open while I'm in business school. I'm going to open it. So there was a yes after yes after yes, meeting anybody and everybody I could, becoming president of the Business of Entertainment Association. I mean, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. We're going to do it, So I came out, went into consulting. Anybody who knows anything about the consulting firm world, there is just one one thing after another that you have no idea how to do, and you just jump in and say yes. So there's more, right? You're going to be on this project. You've never done it before, sink or swim, go do it. Right. And so I just kind of, I always say consulting is kind of where you go when you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, because you're just going to dabble in everything and sort of learn, as you go. And I think the biggest thing for me was deciding to go out on my own. So to your point about, all right, it's time to be the entrepreneur you always wanted to be. And I think I would flip it a little bit to say part of it is saying no, and saying yes to yourself, but saying no to the things that are safe, saying no to the things that aren't quite right for you, saying no to the things that might make other people unhappy or might make people think you're crazy. Right. So and really that's a yes to yourself, right? Like so coming back to you and your philosophy, I love it. I think it's fantastic. But it's like, just be careful of saying yes to things that aren't true to yourself, and saying yes to the things that are part of that heart's desire. So yes, coming out onto my own, into my own business 10 years ago now, over 10 years ago now, to do some of the operations and organizational improvement type of consulting I was doing in the firms, someone said to me, you need to get yourself a business coach. And I rolled my eyes. And then I was like, well, what's the worst that could happen? I had no idea what this meant. And I fell in love with the modality of coaching. And so I actually went and got certified as a coach, which a lot of people don't even know what that means. And I don't care. It was exactly what I needed to learn how to help people the way that I do now. And getting into understanding teams, understanding how teams work together, understanding people's strengths, how do we listen, how do we become conscious leaders, all of those things have started to just build and build and build. And it's because I've said yes to my heart's desire and what I care about and what I love. So there's a story for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
One of the things you said is, a yes also means a no somewhere else, or saying no to the things that don't make sense. And I love that, because I always talk about understanding what our core values are before we can start marching through life and chasing our goals and dreams, because our values are really what's going to dictate our happiness. And understand that every yes is going to be a no to something else. How do you help people define in your world what their yeses should be as opposed to their nos?
Oh, that's a great question. It's probably one of the most important questions, is to really understand your heart's desire. What is it that's really driving you? It gets down into a bit of faith and a bit of spirituality on some level to really dig in deep. How do I help people get there? I mean, I'll tell you this: questions. Empowering open questions. That's like the number one thing in coaching in general. And even just coaching yourself is continue to ask questions that open your mind, not automatically saying, limiting your dreams and where you can go by things like how much it costs, or people will think I'm crazy, or that's impossible, right? Like really opening the mind up is where, and the heart up, honestly, is where you get to that beautiful place where somebody says, this is what I really want. This is the thing deep down inside. I'm not saying to anyone, right? And again, really digging in on when you're saying yes to something that's keeping you safe, than pushing you forward.
I like how you just said that,
Yeah.
digging down to what somebody really wants. I think oftentimes we know what we want, but we're afraid to express it out loud, for fear of being criticized, or maybe it's too much, or you don't feel like you deserve it. I've got a wonderful client. We're working on a project today. He says, Jim, give me the craziest ideas that you have. Like, no, there's no limit. And I'm like, well, that sounds fun. And I threw one out there. He goes, you know what? I love that. Let's do it. He had the capacity to understand what I was saying. And although it was way out there and crazy, he's like, let's do it. So I'm really excited about continuing down that path. How do we help people get out of that, like that discomfort of like, oh, I don't want to tell you, it sounds too crazy?
Yeah. Well, you just named something that you just spoke about, something that kind of brings something to mind, which is be around other people that are going to light that fire with you. Be around other people that will keep pushing and keep encouraging you. You know, in some cases that is getting yourself a coach, right?
Yeah.
In other cases, it's looking at people who are doing things that you may feel are outside of your comfort zone, and go talk to them. And I mean, again, this idea of collaboration, one misnomer is we shouldn't be collaborating with everybody all the time. We need to know when to collaborate, when to work on our own. That's one of the big things that I work with teams on. But in terms of things like, you know, getting that encouragement or having somebody champion you, or you know, you throw something out there a lot of times in your own mind and it's like you immediately pull yourself back. But if you throw it out to the right person, they'll be like, ooh, I see exactly how that works, right? And all of a sudden the magic happens. So I do think saying things out loud, not being afraid to just even say it or brainstorm about it or talk about it is a big first step, because we keep a lot of that stuff inside. You know, saying what you really want to do and who you really want to be.
Yeah.
We shut ourselves down. It's sad.
Yeah, I think that, you know, maybe somebody was stifled as a younger adult or somewhere in life where they were told they couldn't, so they always felt that they couldn't, and they're afraid to reach out. You know, I love the discussion about coaches. I do some limited coaching. It's not really my field that I focus on. I do a lot more consulting, but I've had a business coach, and I was very blessed to work with David Meltzer for several years, who launched a new career for me at the tail end of something else, and even as a coach now, again on a limited level, I still have a coach, and I still believe in the importance of having a coach, because you can always extract something, or they can always pull something out of it. Talk about your own experiences as a coach and maybe some coaches you've had.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I sometimes I have three coaches at once helping me with a number of things. I'll have somebody helping me with my health. I'll have somebody helping me with my mindset. I'll have, this kind of thing. Oh, my experiences with coaches it's just so amazing. I mean, again, it's so funny because this is totally naturally coming out of my mouth. But one of the things is just saying yes, because you're saying yes to yourself, and you're investing in yourself, and you're doing something where you're saying, this is what I'm going to focus on. It's like a decision. When you make a decision to work on something with someone, they're going to hold you accountable. That's one of the biggest mechanisms of coaching, right? They're going to help you open up, like I said, and then they're going to keep moving you forward. And so, yeah, I've worked with so many great coaches. Right now, David Nagel is my biggest mentor, and I'm in a year-long program with him. He's fantastic. If you're not familiar with him, he's really a mindset coach, digging in, and like you're gonna open up all kinds of stuff about yourself. I mean, I would say half of what he says to me drives me crazy. And that's what I need. I need somebody who's gonna set me off and make me think, and really open up new things. You're challenging yourself, right? Every time you work with a coach, you're pushing, you're accelerating. That's what it does, right? It pushes, and if you're not ready for that, don't work with me. That's for sure. Right? If you're not ready to move and go somewhere and really move forward, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Now, when clients are considering finding a coach, and we're kind of digging into your business and what you're doing, what things do they look at when they're looking to hire you?
Oh, well, I mean, for me, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, mainly business owners who have teams. So quite often, like I said, they're looking for that acceleration for growth. And if you want to grow, you're gonna be hiring people. If you want to grow, you're going to be developing people. And so it's kind of this double-sided coin, right? On one hand, you need to grow your team, you need to find the right people. On the other hand, you need to grow your client base, and you need to market more. So it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. You need to understand the experience you're rolling out to your clients, the experience you're rolling out to your employees, and attract people to a beautiful organization that's kind of creating the impact that you want to create, and the growth you want to create, and not just for the business itself, but for the people to grow alongside it. And so, people come to me when sometimes they have a current team that isn't working so great, and like, okay, help us figure out how can we communicate, collaborate, be more productive, reduce stress, reduce conflict. Sometimes it's someone who just has a couple of people and they're like, I really need to grow my team. To me, that's the biggest opportunity. When you are ready to hire someone, stop everything, stop the presses. Everything can be looked at, and getting that new person in is probably your greatest opportunity for growth and change and improvement. So taking the time to hire, understanding, defining the role, knowing who you need, knowing what your team needs you to hire for, all of that is a big piece of what I do. Yeah.
I I love that approach because oftentimes, as business owners, we feel like, okay, I need to add somebody to my team, and you don't think about the process of how, why, what, and getting that good fit, especially when it's tough to find employees. But even finding a bad employee isn't the best solution, just because you need to fill a spot, because that can cost you tons of dollars down the road. Talk about some of the pitfalls that people jump into as it relates to hiring.
Yeah. Well, I would say number one is waiting until the last minute, until you're desperate and you need somebody yesterday.
Yeah.
Don't do that because exactly what you said, right? All of a sudden it's going to become this urgent need. You need someone to come in and you don't have the time to do your due diligence. So that's number one. And I say this to the same thing, by the way, on the other side, when I'm talking to people who are in the career world. I used to work more in that realm. There's nothing worse than into an interview for a job and both sides being desperate. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster, right?
Yeah.
That one person is looking to get out of a job they can't stand, so they're desperate. The other person's looking to get something off their plate, so they're desperate, right? And it's like this horrible. I mean, usually that's a recipe for disaster. So don't wait till the last minute. Start thinking about it now. The next time you hire somebody might be 6 months to a year from now, but start making lists of the things that you're going to want to delegate and get off your plate, or the issues that other people on your team are having, what things that they need to let go of, right? And so there's all kinds of ways to analyze that, right? Again, I come from the process improvement org development world, so there's ways to take a look at what people are doing and what needs to move around. But I would say, number one, don't throw the kitchen sink at a job. Don't throw every single thing you need done into a job. You're never going to find the person who's going to do all of that.
Yeah.
And even if you are the person wearing a million hats, never expect someone else to do it. Do not, because you're hiring somebody who's not, their skin's not in the game in terms of the entrepreneur mindset, right? And then the other one is making it up as you go. Right? Oh, I just found this great person, or my best friend's daughter just got out of college, or this thing. We'll just make it up. It's a great, no, it's not that. Again, another recipe for it. There's so many ways to define what you really need and to create a process for hiring people to that. And I mean, I not only help people understand, to your point about their core values that they want to bring into a culture at a company, and how do you hire to that? How do you hire the knowledge that you need people for, right? But also how people work. And that's one of the assessments that I work with, is the Kolbe assessments. I help people understand, how do you expect someone to solve problems? How detail oriented, how organized, right? How multitasking, how much risk is going to be involved in this job? And I know I'm talking about all kinds of things that probably don't make any sense. There's a pretty high learning curve with this, but there's ways to really get down and define, so that when you're looking at these candidates, you can really take a look and assess who they are. And going back to my story about my resume not showing, right? My resume not showing who I really was. I think it's so important to not just look at resumes. It's a small fraction of how somebody's going to work and what they do, and how they're going to add to your culture and all of that kind of things. There's certain things you're going to need. Absolutely. Right. I mean, you're hiring a brain surgeon. They need to have certain, right? They need to have certain credentials. Okay. But I would say still tone down how important you're looking at experience and knowledge, because there's so much more to a person, and you can teach people a lot of things.
You said something earlier when you went back to business school about knocking on every door you could possibly find, and being a person that I've been in the role of hiring on many, many occasions, hundreds of employees. And my favorite thing was referrals, because you can get some good insights to somebody honest feedback. They might even say, hey, you know what? They're really great here. They're not so great there. But, referrals have so much value. And the only way that you're going to get really good referrals is if you're out there knocking on the doors, building relationships and rapport. So when somebody goes, man, I'm looking to hire a good person for this, somebody goes, you know what? I know somebody, because it goes so much further than a
Yes.
resume, right?
Jim, you're speaking my language, because seriously, I mean, what I said before is hiring someone is like getting a new client. When you're about to get your new client, you're looking for referrals for the right client, the ideal client. It's the same thing. If you just write a job ad, throw it up on Indeed or one of these, whatever these sites are, and just expect the right person to fall into your lap, it's not the right approach. You want to go and say, all right, I want this person. Where does this person hang out? Who do I know who knows this person, to your point, right? How do I get this out to the people that this person's going to know? You don't want the person who's just clicking and submitting their resume to every job on a job site. You just don't, right? You want to make sure they're interested in your job, that they're looking at what your brand is, all of those kind of things. So yeah, absolutely. Referrals for everything in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Vendors, clients, employees, all of that, right? Just absolutely. And I guess, again, the same thing too is defining what it is you really need. If you're not clear when you're speaking that to the person you're asking for the referral, like it's your best friend, well, my daughter's coming out of school, that's not the referral.
Right.
Right? You're looking for this person and you want to go find that person. They might hang out on online groups, they might know somebody, they might go to a certain school, right? That's the kind of way you want to be looking at it.
Actually,
Yeah.
I wanted to articulate that earlier in the conversation about defining exactly what your needs are or what the roles and responsibilities are of these people. Because to your point, you could see, yeah, I'm looking for somebody for my company. Then all of a sudden you do get that, like, oh, my grandkids coming out of college, they'd be great. Well, maybe not. Let me help define that.
Yeah.
And I don't see enough companies, employers, or entrepreneurs building those initial plans, strategies, and defining roles and responsibilities. They want to get to the fun stuff, and the written stuff isn't as fun as, hey, I'm going to go out and make a sale and make some money, right?
Yeah. Well, and then there's the other side of it too, which is people they're thinking about, okay, I need to hire somebody, but they're worried about not having the money to pay them. And I think that's a big one for really small businesses. Is like, okay, I need to hire this person, I want to get a great person, but I don't know if I can pay them as much as I should, because I need the other side of that coin, which is more business. I need more revenue. They have to go hand in hand, right? So putting yourself out there and saying yes to that great employee for maybe six figures, right? Maybe more, in order to, grow your business the way it needs to be grown. It's like, get the mindset going of more, of abundance, of growth, rather than, trying to save money. I think that's one of the mindset things that really does hold people back is, oh, I can't afford. Well, make a way to afford it in your business. You're growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So have the plan to make that revenue come in so that you can get that employee who's going to help you grow even more. It's not easy, right? Like, again, it's saying no to the safety thing, which is I'll do everything myself and run myself into the ground.
Yeah.
Well, see
Yeah.
where that goes,
Yeah.
right?
Well, look, let's not give away all the secrets, right? Let's have some people go to leadwithharmony.com and check out some more details, some of the things that you do. There's a little bit more information about you and who you are. And you've got a wonderful blog on there, and people can subscribe. So thank you for putting those free tools out there, but also thank you
Yeah.
for being a resource for people. So any last comments about your company and what you do?
Yeah. I mean, well, if you go to leadwithharmony.com, there's a free job ad checklist there. So if you are hiring, take a look at just my basic process for how do you kind of start doing that definition process. So that's there for you. I also, is it okay if I offer something
Yeah,
to your audience
please.
specifically?
Please.
Okay. So, um, when we talk about delegation, so my background as a musician, of course, audio was one of my things. So I created this visualization guided audio called the Delegation Manifestation Guided Visualization. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. If you go to delegationvisualization.com, okay, there's a guided audio and worksheets there to help you sort of unlock what it's like to stop managing and start delegating. And you can use the code answer yes for this audience in order to get it for free. So delegationvisualization.com and enter answer yes. And it will be free for anybody who's listening. And yeah, absolutely. Come and check out Lead with Harmony, check out the blog. LinkedIn is a great place to connect with me. I'm always on there sharing things, newsletter, all that good stuff. So
I love it. Thank you so much for your time today and sharing your insights. And I'm sure our entrepreneurs and business owners out there gained a little bit more knowledge today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
My pleasure. Thank you for listening to today's show. It is my pleasure and honor to interview all of the guests that have been on the Answer is Yes podcast. If you have enjoyed the show, please go on iTunes and subscribe, give a rating, or simply tell a friend about the show. We also believe in the message of our guests and the positive influence of their stories. As my own mentor and coach, David Meltzer, has taught me, spend some time every day thinking and writing about the things in your own life that you have more than enough of. You will find out how blessed we really are. Please visit my website, livelifedriven.com, for the latest updates about me and what I'm doing. Plus, I post a monthly blog about the many topics on this show. This podcast can also be found there. As I learned early on in life, what you believe is what you will achieve. Thanks, Mark Victor Hansen, and thank you, and have a great week.